Hi, my name is Taylor, and I'm going to be continuing my speech on suicide prevention and why we should all be concerned about it and just not pass it by because it's something that's very important. First, I really want to talk about the actual thought of suicide. Some people have already had the thought of suicide, and some have never even considered it or even had the mental image in their minds before. But if I could just tell you right now that if you thought about suicide, about any of your loved ones committing suicide, you would literally cringe because it's so morbid, so scary, and just so selfish of that person to do that you just don't really even know how to feel. You just feel literally like you want to just cringe because it's like, how could that person do that? Well, I'm telling you now, it's something that is terrifying. And if you know somebody that is going through something that may lead them to suicide, it's so important for you to try and help them. We need to keep in mind of those families who have lost those people to suicide or people that are going through some type of depression. And we need to sympathize for them and put ourselves in their shoes. We can't really put ourselves in their shoes unless we've actually gone through it ourselves, but creating that mental image of a loved one of your own committing suicide kind of puts yourself in their shoes. You'll never know what it's like unless you've gone through it, so you can't give anyone advice, and you can't act like you know what you're talking about, because you don't, until you've actually woken up and gotten a phone call that someone dear to you has killed themselves. You have no idea what to say to someone else. So the best thing for you to do is just to sympathize and to be there for that person. Any little act of kindness or compliment or even a hug could really change somebody's whole entire day. Just remember that prevention of suicide is important, that any little kind of act of prevention can really save somebody's life. Second, we should be concerned about society today and how basically people are treated and how people treat others. People are so harsh, and this world is just seen as such a harsh world because people have come so far that they use suicide as a punchline or even just something just to say because they've had a bad day. You should never say, I want to go kill myself just because your day has been really crappy. Also, you should never ever say something like that to someone else. You should never say you should go kill yourself because that person might have already thought about doing it, and that could just be that last push they need to actually do it. It's so important that we are aware of society and how everyone is being treated nowadays. And it's kids in school being bullied or just basically, people feeling like they don't deserve to be alive, people feeling like nobody wants them here, anything. So any type of compliment or act of kindness for that person might really change their whole day around. Third, I want to talk about drugs and alcohol and how drugs and alcohol have a huge effect on people, especially if they're depressed already, because they can both be inhibitors in terms of suicide. Let's start with alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant. So when people drink alcohol, they want to go to sleep, they want to be lazy, they want to just be laid back, they're sluggish, they don't care about anything, they're reckless, they do things out of the ordinary. So if somebody's already depressed and they're drinking alcohol, or even more alcohol than they're used to, that may push them to want to kill themselves. Drugs, on the other hand, they could be uppers, they could do different things to your body. So it's important that if you take drugs, or you know somebody that takes drugs, just to be aware of the effects of both of these substances. Drugs, people can overdose on purpose, on accident, either way it might be ruled out as a suicide. If your family suffers from alcoholism or drug abuse, just be aware of it and just try to be mindful and control it. Or if you know somebody, try and help them control it. And last, I want to talk about my own personal experience. It's very hard for me to come out and talk about this, but I'm going to share with you all because it's important to me to share with everyone that suicide actually really hits home for me, and it's really hard for me to even come out and talk about, but I'm going to. 7 years ago this month, my brother Nick died, and he was 19 years young, He was amazing. Um, he was away at college. He was drinking and using cocaine one night, drinking so much that he got put into a depression, and taking so much cocaine that his mental stability was spiraling up and down, and he fell asleep with a bag over his head. We don't know why. We will never know why. But basically, he suffered from carbon dioxide poisoning, and he suffocated himself in his sleep. Now, on his death certificate, it was ruled out to be an accidental suicide. But let me tell you something. It's not easy even talking about it, and it's not easy because I will never know. My family will never know what he was thinking, how he was feeling, if he was suffering, if he was hurt, anything. We won't ever know because he's gone now. So I'm going to just kind of recap everything I spoke about. First, remember, suicide is a scary thought, and if you actually sit and think about it, you're going to cringe because it's so morbid and so scary. Second, suicide's not a joke. According to CNN, they say that if you even say one type of joke to someone who has had the smallest thought of suicide, it might actually make them want to commit suicide. Be cautious of drugs and alcohol and how they inhibit bad decisions. Remember my wonderful brother Nick and how he's changed my life forever, and hopefully now he's changed yours. And last, remember that the smallest act of prevention could save someone's life. Thank you all.